Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the RMS Brown Bag. We're going to be covering the current patch 374 as well as the next patch tomorrow morning 383. As always, you're welcome to put in questions in the Q&A section, and we have a Q&A section at the end of this as well, so you're more than welcome to do an audio question at the end. To start off this training,
just to double check, can everyone hear me and see my screen? You can just throw a thumbs up. Okay, great.
Perfect.
All right. So hello and welcome to this RMS Support Center Brown Bag webinar. As Paul mentioned, we will be discussing patch 374 and 383. 383 will be released tomorrow, and that will be noted in the slides as well. Okay, so here are our topics that will be reviewed today. We'll take a look at a fix made to correspondence within the administration module. We'll also look at some report updates and fixes made to the document package, updates to contract finances and progress payments within finances, and finally, we'll review some updates to the import SDEF capability. As Paul mentioned, please type your questions into the Q&A area in this WebEx. We have some RMS Support Center folks who are watching that. Okay, so let's get started. First, we will take a look at, as I said, the correspondence fix in the administration module. So when returning a correspondence item back to the contractor for corrections, RMS displayed a validation issues found error and instructed the user to enter a date received, even when one seemed not to be required. So this will be fixed in the next patch. This validation will only appear if the contractor checks this requires answer checkbox when sending the correspondence. Okay, next up, we will jump into the report updates, starting with contract report updates. First, we have the QC daily report. So the QC daily report was pulling the actual finish date for the QC daily report was pulling the SDEF late finish date instead of the correct date. So as you can see here, it is appearing incorrectly on the generated report. So this issue has been resolved. The start and finish dates on the generated QC daily report now properly match the activity dates in the activity start finish selection view instead of from the SDEF late finish date. Next, for the ENG 93, the numbering format did not include currency symbols, periods, or commas between the numbers in this form. And this has been fixed. All of the correct symbols now display. And this fix and the QC daily report fix that I just reviewed are both in the current release. Now we'll take a look at the ENG 4025 report and how transmittal remarks are displayed. So the transmittal remarks box was insufficient for exceedingly long text as shown here, and it did not, the text also did not overflow into the following pages of the report. This has been fixed by reconfiguring the transmittal marks box on the report to be in the middle. It now allows for exceedingly long text, and as shown here, it does continue into the following pages if needed. This one will be an update to a form used in RMS, the Transfer and Acceptance of DoD Real Property form, otherwise known as the DD Form 1354. The previous version for August 2013 was being used, and that has now been updated to the August 2022 version. And the RMS application screen has also been updated to accommodate for the changes between the versions. Next, we'll look at some summary report updates. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This has been released as well, the DD Form 1354 fix. Next, we'll look at summary reports, starting with the actual versus scheduled progress summary report. This report was not showing the actual progress, the actual progress right here accurately. Previously, it would only show accurately if placement was computed for the contract. So this will be fixed in the next patch. The actual versus scheduled progress summary report will show the actual progress accurately after the contract status view has been recently viewed on the contract. Next, the modification package requirements report. The report was showing incomplete modifications that seemed to have been completed already, and this was due to the SF30 and or the contract action report not being added to the modification as it should have been. So in the next patch, this will have been fixed. When this checkbox is checked and an SF30 or CAR or contract action report is not found in the modification package, these screens will show up to remind the user to add those documents, which can be included on any document package within the modification. So now we'll take a look at some individual reports, starting with the SF30 for modifications. There were some inconsistencies between the RMS application and the SF30 report. So one of those is going to be when a user would add a modification for either appropriations or new CLINs. A field should have been shown here, showing the total of the quantity changes, and that is missing. Also, the block 12 data was showing in block 14 on the report. This has been fixed and it is in the current release. So the total change amount field does appear on the report now, and the block 12 data shows where it should be in block 12. All right, now we'll look at the contract status sheet. The actual progress graph on this report was showing the actual progress inaccurately. So as you can see here, it's showing right on 2022, and this is actually a couple of months short than the actual progress for this contract. So in the next release, the progress graph axis has been updated to capture the correct actual progress. So now it is displaying accurately. It will be in the next patch, excuse me. All right, next we have the Preparatory Control Worksheet, or the PCW. So this report was showing submittal items statuses incorrectly in section B. So as you can see, these two submittal items say approved and not submitted on the report, but in the submittal register, they are actually complete and outstanding. In the next patch, this worksheet will have been updated to capture the correct statuses for the submittal items. So as you can see in this example, they show as complete and outstanding, and then that matches what is in the submittal register. Moving on, we will look at the document package fixes. So for this error, when sending documents to PCF from within the contract file and later attempting to return to the document package where those documents reside and complete it, this error would be raised when any of the documents previously had their statuses set to any of these three statuses during the batch process. So now this will have been fixed in the next patch, and RMS no longer displays an error when returning to the document package after sending from the contract file and attempting to complete the document package. The document statuses will remain unchanged, upon completion of the document package, and this avoids the error previously shown. Next, we'll look at the custom signature position and digital signing of documents. This is in the current release of RMS. This error would appear when attempting to use a custom document signature position. RMS was just having a little bit of trouble finding this custom signature position, so this error no longer appears, and this has been fixed. Now we'll look at updates to the finances, specifically in contract finances in the obligation balances tab. Excuse me. These obligation line item numbers did show a CFMS accrual amount, but once you got to the higher level at the funding account or the contract level, it did not total all of these items and show that in this box here. So in the next patch, this has been fixed, and when you select the higher levels on this list, it does total all of the items below it and show that total in this box for CFMS accrual. Next, we'll look at the Send Payment to CFMS button in Progress Payments. When a user clicked on this button for the final payment, RMS did not require the user to upload a signed ENG 93. Now RMS will show, in the next patch release, RMS will show this window when there is not a signed ENG 93 found, and it will prompt the user to upload and/or sign an ENG 93. Please note that the resulting ENG 93 of this process will be sent to CFMS, whether it is signed or unsigned. So if it should be signed, please make sure to do so. All right, and finally, we will look at an update made to the import SDEF capability, specifically in contractor mode. So contractor users were not able to send multiple SDEFs to the government for review and acceptance. And also, upon acceptance of an SDEF import by the government, the status of the previously imported SDEFs were being reverted back to not requested instead of remaining as accepted for import. In the next patch, this will have been fixed, and the contractors will be able to send multiple SDEFs to the government for review and acceptance. And upon acceptance of an SDEF import, the previous import status will not change back to not requested as it had before. And that concludes our review of the fixes for these two patches. As Paul mentioned earlier, patch 383 will be released tomorrow. Here are some references on this slide to YouTube videos, the YouTube channel, also to the service desk, and a number to call the service desk if needed. So this concludes the brown bag presentation, and we will open the floor up for any discussion or questions.
So it looks like we do have a question in the chat asking about a preview for the location of military QA and civil QA. Are we referring to signing the daily reports? Oh, just an example. Do you just want to see where they were updated? Was this for a future patch, or has it already been released? Haley, do you know which one that's talking about? I apologize. I was only partially listening to the presentation.
No problem. As far as I know, that has been released. Let me go back to the...
Yeah, which slide was it?
Yes, it has been. This is in the current
Custom
release.
document. Ah, okay. So this is if you are creating. All right, give me just a second. I will share my screen so we can take a look at that one. All right.
To answer your question, thankfully, we received extra servers from CEIT to handle the patch process. So unlike the past where when we do a release, the patch process would kind of take out the web API at the same time. Now we actually have about 3 servers handling that. So when there is a patch release, we do not expect any impact to RMS. So should be a good one. The last 3-4 releases we've had, minus the big outages that were recent, we didn't see any impact to RMS when doing the patches. So same thing tomorrow morning. We're actually, just so you guys know, we're releasing at about 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So most of you all coming in tomorrow morning will get prompted to download a new patch. Shouldn't have an impact. But if there is an impact, please let us know.
Okay, so y'all should be able to see my screen. What we're talking about is the custom signature position locations, and I believe that is not here. That is in the district library. Sorry. I don't do this every single day, so I have to remember where it's at. Signature positions. Here we go. Document signature positions. So when you come into this module right here and you create a custom signature position, what was happening before, you wouldn't be able to use it because it was causing problems. So that's new position. You can make it as a default if you want. That's up to you. You can tell it where to print on the page, which one you want. If you want a specific page number, then you'll just go ahead and enter, say it has to be on page 2. And then if the print at position, you have the options to either put a specific position or any of these other options. If we're doing specific positions, you'll have to figure out where by testing this in order to figure out what exactly it should be. I'm going to stick with 50 and 50, probably going to put it in the middle of the page because I'm not looking at that. And then if it's a shared position, whether or not it needs to be contract or government or both, you can set that up as well. So once you've created this position, then you can just go into any contract and add it to a document. So let's go into this one. And we will go into a QA daily report. And oops, sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. Let me go grab one that has that. Okay, you wouldn't do this on this one, but just so that I can have an example document in there. Oops, I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. Sorry, I'll take it just a minute. Okay, so in the document package, if you want to sign this, let's pretend this is not the daily report. This is some other document for that new signature position. You choose sign selected documents, and then you'll select your document, choose next. And this is where you use that customer signature position. So you double click in here to get the ellipses button. You click on the ellipses button, and then you search for your new option. And this was best document signature 1. Click OK. And then whoops, before I do that, I need to have these finish. Gonna ask you for your PIN or your password. And then once it's signed, what you can do is you can come in and take a look and see where it's signed at. Which I will need to share a different screen in order for you to be able to see that. Give me just a second. Okay, hold on, let me change my view. Let's see here. Stop so I can see my screen and then share this one. Sure. And then this is where it's placed it. So 50-50, it goes down here at the bottom. It's like bottom right. All right, let's see. Are there any other questions?
And would like us to go over the ENG to CFMS part again. You'll have to share your screen for the slides.
All right. Okay, so we are back on the slide for the send payment to CFMS button. So when clicking on this button, RMS was not particularly searching for a specifically signed ENG 93. And so if the ENG 93 was left unsigned, it was getting sent to CFMS anyways. So now when RMS cannot find an ENG 93 that is signed when clicking the send payment to CFMS button, this window will come up letting you know that RMS could not locate an ENG 93 that was signed. So if you would like to sign the form that may be already there, but is left unsigned, that will come up. If you click no here, a window will come up to upload an ENG 93, either manually signed or then digitally sign that ENG 93.
All right, so you had a question, signed by whom, the preparer or the approver? Inside of the document package, when you go to sign the ENG 93, it gives you the option for both. CFMS obviously would prefer, from what I've heard, prefer the approver to be signed. It has to be signed. There's some districts that do things a little bit differently on the signing, so that's why we kind of had to make sure to allow for a signed or unsigned ENG 93, because some districts do things differently. I hope that answers your question. If not, definitely ask. In the
I'm
future,
sorry.
oh, go ahead.
So just like you had mentioned in regards to the, especially for the final payment, that is correct. I can tell you, like, for example, my district, which is the Fort Worth district, or at least the project engineer and the ACO, if it's in his signature letter, on his authorization letter, that we have two signatures. But if, like you mentioned, in regards to sign or unsign, when you upload the document into the document, there's another field before this. If you upload that document and check that it was manually signed, hopefully that will help with this portion. What else would you recommend?
Right. Yes, exactly. So that's something that we've been talking with the TMO with a lot, is the process for doing signed ENG 93s, especially when it comes to final payments, right? Because final payment has to be signed, right? One of the things that we were talking about with the TMO is having RMS automatically send you to the document package as soon as you hit the send to CFMS button, whether or not you hit it now or for final pay. So that's something that we'll be implementing in the future as a feature for RMS. But that's because it's it's a little confusing. You're on the ENG 93 page, you're doing an invoice, you hit send to CFMS. Do you ask for the signature there or not? Like you said, you can also take a document, check the box that it was manually signed for the government and the contractor, upload that, and then send that one off too. So we kind of have to allow for all different sorts of ways of doing the ENG 93. Your question about sending the ENG 93 to the contractor, agreed. If you remember, we tried, I don't know if you were here when we tried to change RMS to allow the ENG to be sent to the contractor. There were a lot of districts that liked that, but there were also a lot of districts that didn't like that because for their contracts, they don't want the contractor to sign the ENG 93. So that's something that I think we'll have to work with the TMO in the future to allow like a checkbox that says allow the contractor to sign the ENG 93, then do that for that contract, but not for other contracts. But yep, definitely. Make it a lot easier just to sign it in RMS and then send it off to CFMS. A lot less copying and pasting. Yep, exactly. Yep, that's our goal. So that just so you guys know, as government users, you want to send feedback to the TMO so that they know. Obviously the ones that have the most people asking, that's the stuff that'll probably be considered for new features, right? So definitely make your voices heard in terms of, new features.
Did we answer the question about the final payment only for the ENG 93? I believe this is only on the final payment if we didn't answer that question already.
Yeah, on this screen, yeah. If we didn't answer your question completely, please re-ask.
Are there any other questions?
To answer your question about the 4025, yes, that's a known bug, and we're working on a fix for that. I don't know offhand what sprint that's in, but it's going to be something that's fixed in the future. So that's something that that was identified in our internal testing as well. Thank you for bringing that up. If you take a 4025 and you go to sign it, but then you cancel out of it, it kind of puts that 4025 in a position where you can't sign it. So that's something that we'll be fixing. And just so you guys know, if you didn't know, if you go to rms.usa.army.mil, there's a release notes portion that you can go there and see what the latest release notes are. The release notes are actually quite a bit different nowadays. So if you look at some of the latest ones we've done, we've got screenshots in there, explanations as of what's changed and whatnot. So instead of just kind of like a line of text, we've actually got screenshots in the latest ones. I don't think the 383 release notes are out yet, but they will be soon. So tomorrow morning, officially at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be releasing and posting those release notes, so you guys can you can download those and see what the latest changes are. Last call for questions. We really appreciate all of you being here. Definitely put in a ticket if you guys have questions, or, for example, if tomorrow you have an issue with connections during the release, we want to know about it, because we're working very hard with CEIT and the TMO to make RMS better. All right. Thank you all very, very much. Just a note, we will be putting this on our YouTube channel with I think it takes about 5 days or so, business days, for us to process this video and then put it up on the YouTube channel. The slides, we are going to be putting that up on the website, the rms.usa.army.mil. And
We have one more question in the chat. Someone's asking if we
Rachel-
will do a presentation on submittal register input.
yeah, what we can do is we can take that note down, because we're looking at things to do in the future in terms of presentations, because we're going to have a monthly brown bag as well as some train the trainer presentations. So we will take that down and definitely add that to our list of things to cover in the future. Submittal register input from government perspective. Perfect. You had a question about, is anyone working on the ability to accept multiple QC reports instead of one at a time? Right now, that's not on our radar, but if you ask for it, it might be. Because from our perspective here at RMS, taking a feature that's available for QA, making it available for QC is real easy to do, right? We just need to have permission from the TMO to do it. So I know that the contractors would love that, because they got the one-click wonder for the 4025, just like the government did. But the QA part of multi-signing a QA report, that was something that headquarters has been kind of on and off about. So we kind of enabled it, disabled it, enabled it. Now that headquarters seems to be okay with multi-signing QA reports, I think that they would be okay with allowing multi-signing of QC reports, and that would definitely save the contractors a lot of time. But we definitely need to get that from the TMO. So definitely ask the TMO for that, and we would be glad to implement that. If that's there's a lot of things that they're dealing with in terms of new features and whatnot. We've gone over pretty big lists of things to do. But yeah, definitely ask for that. Yep. Agreed. Yeah, getting information from you guys out in the field, that's key. So getting that from you guys up to management, that's the way to get it done. I believe now the TMO is in charge of all that stuff, so definitely send it to them.
You can also send it to our help desk as well, because we forward all of that information on to the TMO. If you are unfamiliar with contacting us, you can always just give us a call at 442-333-1011. That is the number that will get us every single time. Yep, right there on the slides. Or you can click on the Jira Service Desk link there, and that will go through and let you in. If you haven't created an account, go ahead and create an account. If you don't know your password, just give us a call and we'll help you with that. The next question I see, has anybody suggested revising the information columns on the status funding page of the BCD? The BCD is a formal report. We do not have permissions to change that. That is coming from either USACE or Big Army. So depending on which location that comes from, you'll have to contact them to revise that report format. Any other questions? So, small thing, can we change something in the mod package from IGE to just GE? Are you referring to in where it is going to PCF? Just the title. If you would submit a support ticket for us, we would have to get the permission of the TMO to fix that, or to change, excuse me, to change that.
Yeah, to change that. Yeah. To get more specific on your question, it's been talked about, but we'd probably need direction from the TMO in order to change that. But to just to let you know, it's only been a handful of people over the last, I don't know, 6 years that I've heard ask for that. It doesn't make it a bad request. It's just not a highly requested change. You know, because some of those reports are ancient, right? And on top of that, RMS only fills out some of the data on that report, so it highly depends. We'd have to get the TMO concurrence on that one. Okay, last call. Any more questions? All right. Well, we definitely appreciate all you guys spending your afternoon with us. Thank you very much. We'll get this video up in about 5 days. Thank you very, very much. We'll see you guys next month.
Thanks, everybody.